Hello, I'm the Reed. Recently I've been developing a card game mixed with the combat of a tabletop RPG, and I've decided to release it for free. The name of the game is the Logoth Card PG. Let's get into how it works and all of that. Now, small disclaimer, I used AI to create these actual physical representations of these cards. I'm not a skilled artist and I don't have any money, so we used AI. Hopefully one day we could get collaborations from real artists and things like that, but today it's just one guy, me, in his bedroom, so we used AI to make the images for the cards. So to start off, we've got fighters. So here we have an example of a fighter card. Now I know there's a lot going on here, but let's get into it real quick. So, fighters. They have base stats, and they have core attributes. The higher the base stat, the better. So, a 5 is better than a 4 in your stats. Your life is your total health score. That is your exact hit points. Whatever your life is, that's your life. Your speed. So, at the start of a game, both players will roll 1d20, and then they'll take each character's speed stat and add it to that d20 roll. That will determine the order of which fighter goes when. That speed stat also determines how many tiles a fighter can move per turn. We'll get into that. The defense. Defense is how high an enemy must roll to hit. Now, let's get down to the attributes. So, this is where we get a little more in depth. So in the attribute scores, the lower the attribute, the better. So it starts at 20 if you were to build a character. And every 2 under 20, it gets a +1 to hit. So at 18, you would have +1. At 13, you would have +3, if that makes sense. So we've got physical. These are all your melee combat rolls and your tests of strength. So whenever you're rolling for combat, you would roll a d20, add the plus that's on there, and see if it defeats whoever's defense you're trying to hit. If it does, you hit. If it doesn't exceed the number, then you fail to hit. Now, if you're doing an out-of-combat roll, such as lifting up something heavy or any other physical test of strength, for example, for physical, you would roll outside of combat. Now, for that, you would roll a d20, and you would want to just get a higher number than whatever your stat is. So, for physical, roll an 11. If your physical is a 10, like it is on the sheet, you roll an 11, you succeed. You roll a 10, you succeed. But you roll a 9, you would fail. Alright, so we've got the physical. All melee combat rolls and tests of strength. Spirit. All mystical combat rolls and tests of determination. And then technique. All ranged combat rolls and tests of dexterity. This is for physical ranged attacks, so a magical ranged attack would be spirit, not technique. Okay. All fighters have one ability, which can be used at any time. All fighters have a basic melee attack, which would use their physical stat. And all fighters have either a signature or an ultimate move, which can generally only be used one time. It's a powerful move with sometimes might have some drawbacks if it is extra powerful of a move. So a fighter may only act on their turn. There's no reactions or anything like that. A fighter can only act on their turn. A fighter can make one action and move at any time during their turn. So they can move, if they have a speed stat of 5, they can move 2 squares, do an attack, and then move 3 squares. You don't have to move all at the same time. And let's see, and a fighter becomes unconscious if they hit 0 life, but that doesn't mean they died. A fighter dies if they hit their life stat negative halved. What that means is, let's say you have a life stat of 6. At 0, you would become unconscious all the way to -2. But at -3, you would become dead. Or any more. That character would be dead and gone. A player wins when all enemy fighters are unconscious or dead. Alright. And let's look at a couple of these cards so I can show you just like the differences in them. So we've got this guy is like the main, basic character. But we've got other characters in here who've got more specialized stats, like Cassian, who's got a really low technique score and really high spirit and physical, which means if he is not good at doing anything physical, not good at doing anything spiritual, but he's got great aim. He can aim his gun all day. Bigfoot, this is one of my favorite characters I've made. He's pure defense. He's basically nothing but defense, although you can half his defense stat to make him stronger and faster. So you've got some drawbacks and some add-ons, alright? So anyways, now that we've discussed fighters, let's discuss the field. The standard field consists of a 40 by 40 tile grid, and a playmat for each player on opposite ends of the tile grid. The players you can have anywhere from 2 to 6 is what I recommend. I don't really recommend going over 6 players, but that's just me. You do it however you want. So it consists of a 40 by 40 tile grid, a playmat on each end, and you can place terrain in place if you want to add for a tactical play, place that before the match. Or what I did with my playtest so far is just have a big open tournament square like the one you're seeing behind me, and place the grid on top of that. The field is split down the middle, and players can place their fighters anywhere on their side of the field to start out. So, and 2 fighters may not be placed on the same tile at the same time. 2 fighters may never occupy the same tile. That's the way the battlefield works. Now we've got turns and rounds, alright? So a turn is a fighter's turn. That consists of 1 attack and their movement. Or 1 action, I should say, because they might not attack, they might make an action instead. But 1 action and a movement. A round is whenever every fighter has taken their turn. So that's 1 round, okay? So some cards might say round, some cards might say turn. That's the difference. So now we got the different card types, alright? So you've heard the fighters. Now let's get to the card types. So for the card types, we've got ability cards. These are one-time use cards. Usually only can be used on your turn, unless specified otherwise. Equipment cards. These alter the fighter until removed. 1 equipment card may be played per turn and costs no action to equip. But unequipping an equipment card does cost an action. So you can swap equipment cards around, but it will cost you an action to unequip it from a character. A fighter may have a maximum of 3 equipments at one time and no more. Alright, that's equipment cards, that's all they are. Battlefield. This alters the tiles of the battlefield for specific effects. You may play any number of battlefield cards during your turn, and you also may play any number of ability cards during your turn. Sorry, I forgot to say that. And they may be placed on anywhere on the field, no range. And then we've got domain cards. These alter reality, and this affects all fighters on the field. Only 1 domain may be in play at a time, so if somebody plays a domain card, then you will discard any domain card that is already in play. So here we have an example of an ability card. 1 fighter may not attack on their next turn. Simple, straightforward cards. You can re-roll your last roll for this one. Destroy target battlefield card. Target fighter gets +3 defense. Now this is a special card, it lasts 2 turns, alright? So you see we've got just basic things going on here that you would put. Give target fighter +3 life. You can play... Now this one you see in the top right how it says play anytime. That means that you don't have to play it on your turn, you can play it any time, obviously. Target fighters get +1 to all attributes until the end of turn. So, and if you'll remember the way attributes work, that's actually a bad thing, not a good thing. So now let's look at domain cards. Domain cards will change the battlefield drastically. Like this, the Domain of Endless Night, speed is halved. Domain of Fortune, all rules have advantage. Or all damage is fatal, and other domains may not be played for 1 round. Domain cards can shift the battlefield, but you have to be careful because they affect everybody, not just your team. Now we have battlefield cards. So battlefield cards will affect the battlefield, you place them down, and they stay forever. Unless destroyed. So this one, for example, Burning Grounds. You put a 3x3 tile square on the ground, causes 1 damage per turn. Any card that causes damage per turn the per turn damage will happen at the start of a fighter's turn, not immediately as the card is played. We've got stranger cards like the casino. This is a little bit of a gamble card. Or my favorite, the car. A fighter within these tiles may move the tiles with their fighter. They gain 2 speed while in the tiles. These will affect the battlefield in ways that you can take advantage of. Now that we've gotten into the different types of cards, and how fighters work, how the battlefield works, and how turn order and rounds work, let's get into how the actual game itself works. So, before a battle, let's say it's a 1v1, a 1-player versus 1-player game. Both players will choose 3 fighters to put on their team, and they will place them anywhere on their side of the field that they would like. Then rolling their d20 and adding their speed stat to that to determine who goes first and who goes last. Who goes win, essentially. You will fight it out, play cards, all that. The way your hand works, so at the start of a turn, you'll draw a card. Now, both players will bring their own deck of cards, which will not have any fighters in them. You do not draw fighters. You only have your 3 fighters. You draw 1 card at the start of your turn from either your deck or your opponent's deck. It's your choice. You may play these cards as the rules say, and you can have any sized hand. There's no limit to the amount of cards you can have in your hand. So you pick 3 fighters, you put them on the field. You start your turn, you draw 1 card. You don't have to play that card, you can keep it in your hand, or you can play it. That's up to you. If you have any questions at all, I may not have hit everything, it's kind of hard to know what people will want to know, what people don't know. I'm still a little new at designing games, so actually explaining the rules is a little new to me. But if you have any questions, anything like that, feel free to ask. I'll get back to them as soon as possible. Down in the description, I've left the Google Drive link to all the cards. You can print them out, play it physically, you can play it on Tabletop Simulator, you can play it on Roll20. However you want to play this game, that's up to you. These cards in this alpha set are completely free. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you have a great day. Let me know what you think.